in the bag update, summer 2019. Not playing a ton of golf, to be perfectly honest. Just been getting kind of caught up with other things, the way my schedule has been working out, etc., etc. But I've still been playing a little bit, and this is what I've been throwing for what it's worth. I love to keep you guys updated with in the bag videos. I love to watch them, and they're fun to make. So here we go. We're going deep. And check out everything in my bag again. We're not going to look at my backups this time like we did last time. That was a little much. I don't think I'll go that deep for a while. Maybe if that ever changes significantly. But definitely a few new things in the bag, some different variations on some of the stuff that I've been carrying, and I figured I'd update you guys, see what's cracking. I have a flight towel on here as well. It's green on green. I like that. I have a couple of those now. I have a really nice clear one. It's like an ice clear Thunderbird or something. Fob on it, and then it's got a gray towel. That's pretty cool. I dig those. Nice to warm up, and it's just a solid towel as well. I'm still rocking the Prodigy BP1 V2 bag. It holds a ton of plastic, which I like a lot. It's got the two water bottle holders. I got twin 40-ounce kind of Hydro Flask type insulated bottles on there, and then I got some random stuff in here. You guys don't really need to see the other stuff, Sharpies and pens and pencils and, you know, that sort of thing. I got some minis in here. Maybe I'll show you my minis. Why not? I got a Stub Stewart State Park mini, and I have a Metal Flake Sake Bomb mini from the Sake Bomb Challenge this year. So those are nice to have. I keep a couple as well because you never know if somebody needs to borrow one or whatever, and I like to have them. I have a bunch of different minis that I really like, and it's hard to narrow it down sometimes, but whatever. Those are the ones I have. I only really use them very, very rarely. So let's talk about the plastic. That's what you guys are here for. Up top, we got 4 putters up here. In no particular order. Well, let's start it off with the magnets. I'm still putting with a Jawbreaker magnet. This thing's getting real beat. It's pretty warped. The edge is definitely a little tore up on it, as you can probably see. She's getting beat, and it's not really working quite as well as I would want it to. I feel like inside the circle, it's not too much of an issue. Outside of the circle, I'm having a little bit of trouble connecting because it's not kind of hooking up quite as much as I want. You know, in short, it seems fine, and I'm still hitting putts okay. Like, it's not like a dire problem, but I think I'm either just going to have to put a brand new fresh magnet in the bag and see if that fixes the issue, or I'm also looking into some other molds. I'll show you in a second, or one mold in particular. Here's the soft magnet that I have in my bag for the last few months now, and it's working out great, so I've been just throwing this one. I could put a couple in here. If I was going to go to like Hornings or like a short technical course, I'd definitely put a couple in there. But this one's getting the job done quite well. Mostly using it for approach shots in these days. You know, it's a little flippy off the tee, except for like really technical woodsy shots, you know, downhill and that sort of thing. It still works fantastic for that, and it's one of my go-to discs of all time. But yeah, I haven't been playing a lot of those type of courses lately, so it's been getting used mostly on approaches, and it just is it's so nice. Like, I can just get it to kind of snake through a lot of different fairways and little gaps, and yeah, anything kind of straight to flippy, this thing works fantastic. Nice, like, kind of air bounce, go for it, floater at the basket. You know, all the stuff I've used magnets for my entire career. I love this disc, and it's going nowhere. Soft magnets are an absolute staple, always will be for me. Caltrup. I have this soft Caltrup. This is my principal layup disc. I'm throwing it under the basket time after time. This thing is just one of my most trusted discs I've ever had. I just know exactly where it's going to go every time I throw it. It's straight and then it fades. So I can just throw it strong, aim out to the right a little bit of the basket on pretty much all of my more open approaches. I'm using this disc. Anything hyzer approach, I'll use this disc, of course. And then if it's open, I'm throwing a hyzer to the basket because it's the most consistent shot, and this disc is absolutely ideal for my layups. It just lands right next to the basket. It doesn't skip, and it's incredibly consistent and trustworthy. Even though I've had it for a couple years now and it's quite beat, it's still plenty stable, and I still really rely on that disc. I also have this Opto Caltrup that I use more off the tee. I've aced with this one recently. I've almost aced with it again the other day. It's a really great, trustworthy disc. It's much more durable than the soft, so it'll just stay like this forever. It hasn't changed at all. I don't throw it very much either. It's a very kind of certain shot, certain range type of disc, but it works out great for those little short hyzer approaches with a putter, and I like to throw that one off the tee and reserve my softie more for approach shots. Occasionally we'll throw it off the tee. I've actually aced with that softie as well on a short course, but yeah, mostly layups for that one. tee shots with the Opto. Moving on, a couple of discs I'm really still testing. They're not necessarily in the bag or not at this point. Are roaches. I have this kind of world stamped Jawbreaker roach that I'm testing as a putter. It also throws amazing. And then I have a Big Z roach that I was hoping was going to be my like throwing putter in a premium plastic that I've been looking for forever. And I don't know. Sometimes it works really great. Sometimes I'm not super into it. Certain shots, it's wonderful. Sometimes it's not quite as stable as I want it to be. And sometimes it's not quite as understable as I want it to be. Maybe it's me. It's probably me. Anyway, the funny part of it is that I got the Jawbreaker to test for putting, and I probably prefer throwing this one as well. I think it's a smoother flyer overall. It's a little bit less touchy for some reason. It's hard to put my finger on it, but it's something I'm still checking out. But if you're not familiar with the Roach, they are extremely rounded, comfortable feeling discs in the hand. And everybody's loving the Paul Macbeth Luna, and that's cool, whatever, do your thing. But these were already around when that disc came out, and they're incredibly similar. Like if you just, yeah, it's extremely similar. If you put them next to each other, you can kind of notice a difference, but not really. And it's funny that people are out there paying like $75 for $60 for those Big Z Lunas on Facebook, and you can just buy a Big Z Roach for $12.99 or whatever. It's almost exactly the same disc. Like, it's incredibly similar. It does have a terrible stamp that I have to wipe off immediately. You can kind of see the remnants of it there. It's awful. But yeah, I honestly think the Jawbreaker one's better. So even though I've always been looking for that premium throwing putter, I might end up ditching this one and just throwing a fresh Jawbreaker in there, and if it gets beat, I'll put another one in there because they're not really that expensive. Also, the Jawbreaker is a really, really phenomenal putter, and it's super straight, and I really like the feel in the hand. So I'm kind of considering maybe getting a pair of those and switching out to use those for a little while inside the circle for all my putting and see how it goes. We'll see. I don't know. I might just end up, putting a fresh magnet in the bag and call it good. They've been doing so well for so long. Alright, rambling. Moving on. Gobies. Look at this beautiful trifecta of gobes that I have here. So I got 3 in the bag pretty much at all times these days. I like to have this orange one. It's my original one that DD Anthony sent me to review, so shout out to him. And this thing has been in my bag since day one. I absolutely love this disc. It's one of the straightest, most neutral discs ever. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about these stupid gobies. They're just so nice. You guys are probably sick of hearing me talk about them. That one is probably my most understable one, just from being the most beat. It's also the flattest. Then I also have 2 first runs. This yellow one is my beater right now that I'm throwing if I don't want to throw either of these other ones, but it might get lost, like if there's a cliff or thick woods or something, I might throw this one instead. Really straight to neutral as well. And then this one, this smoke gray first run, is a little bit more stable than the orange one. The yellow one may be in between, but not too far off. So I throw this one more for like smooth, straight to a little bit more finish shots. I actually end up throwing this one and the yellow one more off the tee, I would say. And then I like this one for like really long approaches. Like if I need to save a par from a long range, this one ends up working out quite well for me. Yeah, on those longer kind of par 4 approaches, I guess. So 3 gobies, crucial. Loving those. Pretty much throwing those more than any other mid-range, by a wide margin. And then I have 1 compass in the bag still. This is the one that my buddy Anthony hooked me up with. It's a great disc. It is my go-to straight to hyzer finish. So I'm throwing a hyzer. I want a stable mid-range. It's not overstable, but it's not flippy in any way. This is what I'm throwing. Throw it nice and flat, gentle fade, holds a hyzer beautifully, and it's really consistent, trustworthy. I love that disc. So every time I break that out, it seems to do what I need it and want it to do as well, which is great. I also have the Opto Anchor in the bag again. I'm going to kind of retest this one. I carried it for a long time and ended up switching to the Justice. But I think I want both of them, actually. The Anchor is more throwable, but still overstable. And it's kind of nice to have the DGN in the bag. Just, remind me sometimes, what I've kind of put together and built in disc golf and what it means to me. Sometimes it's nice to just have that in the bag to see it when I'm out there on the course and Yeah, it's a really phenomenal, trustworthy disc into the wind. It's plenty overstable. For the average player, an opto anchor is going to be plenty overstable to fill that gap. So I like it quite a bit, but it's still throwable. Like, I can still get it to fly a little bit. This one does not fly. This is a Justice. It is a hybrid Justice, and it's just the king of the overstable meat hook mid-ranges. I still have not quite gotten the chance to put together my extensive overstable mid-range comparison video. It is still coming. I still have all the discs in stock, so stay tuned. Hopefully I can make that happen this summer, but whatever. I've tested them all myself pretty much at this point, and the Justice is just the king of that super beefy meat hook mid-range. You know, rip it over on Anheuser, it comes out. Rip it over on forehand Anheuser, it flexes out. Throw it into any wind. It's just a really trustworthy disc, and I've actually been throwing it quite a bit. I had the deflector in the bag for a little while, and I just realized, you know what, the Justice is the real deal, and DD has always been so good to me and my channel, and I'm all about having the Justice as my go-to beefy mid-range. It is pretty rad. Okay, Fairway, kind of. This is the Sting. Very flippy, understable disc. Really flippy. So it kind of flies, like I kind of use it if I were to use my Goby. I want to throw a Goby, but I want it to be more flippy. Like just naturally turn quite a bit. This is what I will throw. It's really not that much farther flying. It is technically a driver, but yeah, as you can see, it's like not super sharp or anything. It's not super fast. It has a lot of glide. It's really flippy. It's easy to get it down on a roller. If you're trying to like learn how to get discs down on a roller angle, this could be a great option for you to try to work on it with. It's kind of like the it reminds me of like the new kind of edition of an XL, essentially. It's like the kind of modern XL for all those kind of flippy utility shots. And I really like it in the woods. I'm not sure if it's going to stick around or not, but I do dig it. It's a fun disc to throw. Also have my Opto Fury still in the bag. It's my ace disc from last year. Best shot I've ever thrown at Stub Stewart, hole 7. This one, really understable. I'll throw it downhill if I want it to, you know, kind of move right a little bit, but pretty much anytime I'm throwing this disc, I want it to go right. I will actually use this disc to mimic a forehand hyzer, essentially, where it turns so sharp that I can work it up and around a corner or something like that, left to right, on a really sharp line, and it works out super well. So I love that disc. It's very special occasion, but when I need it, it's always the perfect disc. And if I need something that I know will hold that turnover start to finish, I really trust that disc. Okay, moving on. Lucid Escape. This is probably one of my top choices. Like, if you're just asking me what's a nice straight flying overall disc that almost anybody in any skill level can get some use out of, the Escape is definitely up there for me. I love this thing for really straight shots. It's kind of like just one step down from my Thrashers, more or less, if I want it to be really straight. Maybe not go quite as far, and just rely on the glide to get me the distance rather than speed. This thing is just a phenomenal disc. Thrown well and like maximizing its potential, which isn't hard at only a speed 9. This thing crushes, and I think the average player could actually throw a disc like this much farther than anything high speed when you don't have a lot of arm speed, because this thing just really wants to fly for you, and it carries easily without much effort. So I love the Escape for those straight shots with a little bit of finish. Also a great kind of cut roller disc for me, or a more stable roller. I can get it down on that angle. Still pretty easy if I just give it a nice strong throw, but it will hold the line a little bit longer and not roll over and finish out to the right as quickly, which is really nice. Okay, moving on. Distance drivers. I have a next-gen Gladiator, Deco Die Gladiator in the bag. Pretty flat top. This one is for headwinds. Also, I've kind of kicked out any slower overstable discs, because this one I can throw at full power and get good distance out of it with a strong fade and still reliable into the wind and stuff, but it'll get out there a lot farther than something like a Firebird or a Criminal is what I was throwing before that. But if I don't throw it super fast, since it's overstable and it's high speed at speed 13, if I kind of check up on it, it flies like a meat hook kind of fairway too. So it really fills those roles perfectly for me, and it's a very versatile disc. Doesn't get thrown hardly ever. It's really just for very specific shots. Like, it was on a windy day, absolutely, I'll throw it a lot. Other than that, it's really just to try to get around a corner, or if I really need a long shot that is very overstable all the way, that disc works well for me. It's not, yeah, it's definitely plenty overstable for my arm. And then finally we have thrashers. I may not carry quite this many. This is 6, but I usually have about 5. This one, ESP, it's 166. It is flat across the top, and it's extremely understable. So this one, even started on hyzer, if I throw it strong, will completely flip over and hold it. So I can work long turnovers that way. If I need to just really bomb one and let it really work, I can rip it on hyzer and let it turn over and float around the corner, and it gets far that way. It's also my favorite go-to distance roller disc because it's super easy to get down, and really finesse distance shots where I want to put it on some hyzer, let it stand up and do its work, maybe like a low ceiling type of situation. This can work out really well for that. Next step up is a Big Z. This one's 170. It's a little broken in. This one is probably the farthest flying one overall. That's still pretty consistent, and I still know how to control it quite well. This one I like to throw either on gentle hyzer, let it pop up straight, or I really like this one too if I want to throw a long turnover. Sometimes I prefer this one and giving it the angle because it's a little bit easier to dial that in than to start a disc on hyzer and let it flip up and work right. It's nice to just start this thing on anhyzer and let it hold that all the way on a nice long smooth turnover. Works out quite well. I absolutely pinned a shot my last tournament with that disc that I still think about. It's just a beautiful flight. I have a couple of yellow Z ones. This Barbarian Stronghold one that a dude named Tyler sent me. I throw this one a ton. It's kind of like my workhorse one that I just throw in any kind of situation for distance. It's quite straight. It glides really nice. It gets out there. It's like it's max weight or so. Really nice flyer. That's like just a solid workhorse one. And this one's probably the one I like the best. I forget the weight on it, but it's really gummy and pearly and has a little pop top on it. This one crushes, and it's still slightly more stable than the Big Z, and I really can get this one out there, and I love throwing it. That's probably my favorite thrasher out of all of them, and I have a lot because I have several backups and different plastic types in my other bin. Then I've been looking for overstable runs of thrashers to fill in that final layer of distance driver, and this prototype one from 2016 is stiff and it's flat across the top. It's definitely an overstable run of thrasher for sure, but it is not my favorite feel. It's a little stiff maybe for me. It still feels fine, but I think that it's so flat it really cuts through the air, and it doesn't have quite the glide of a thrasher does. So I'll throw this one more for like hyzers or a little bit sharper lines. Still definitely functional and not as overstable as the Gladiator, so it's definitely in between. This one might be pretty close though to the stability of the Gladiator. This is a pop top 2019 Ledgestone Glow Sparkle. Did I even ink this one yet? I did. This one, yeah, you can see it's got pretty dope stamp. I like the stamp quite a bit. And it is Z Glow plastic, so it's translucent. It feels just like Z plastic. It's got a pretty nice grip to it. And it's got these little metal flakes in there. And she's beefy. I've only thrown this thing a few times, but it's definitely quite overstable. And as I continue to test it, it may actually prove to be overstable enough that I can bump the Gladiator out of the bag and use this. But who knows? I like that Gladiator quite a bit. And as you can see, I've got plenty of room. So, thanks very much for watching. If you guys have any questions about any of these discs or anything, you know where to find me. Also, I'm pretty sure I've reviewed essentially all of these molds, or damn near it. Not the Roach or the Sting, I guess, but that might happen eventually as well. Everything else should be documented on the channel if you want more information, or just ask me directly and I'll let you know. Thanks for watching. I'll check you later. Cheers. Thank you so much for watching, and big thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. If you would like to see your name listed in the credits of all of my videos, go to patreon.com/discgolfnerd.